Same Team Sunday. I am your host, Avery Woodley. Thank you for joining me. I have missed you all so much. Today is going to be good. I have another guest. I actually have my first male guest that is going to be joining us. We'll be talking about the downside of the female empowerment era when it comes to dating and relationships. So I definitely had to bring a guy in on this one because obviously I am a woman and I am not out there dating other women in this era. So I wanted to hear from him, what's going on with all of that, because when I see some of the comments and the things that are out there, I'm like, what is it like for the guys that aren't married, that are not in, committed relationships or engaged or whatever? What is dating like for a man now with the whole boss babe, empowerment, strong, I can do, good on my own? And granted, yes, that has been around for some years. But now more than ever, because of social media and everything else, it's more in our face. And a lot of these agendas and movements are pushing that. So I want to hear from somebody that's out there trying to still be a man in this, whole female empowerment space and era. All right. Why not have this conversation? And plus, I really did miss you all. Empowerment versus emotionally detached, okay? So that's what I want to tell you guys, is that it is very true. Being empowered, and this is the thing that some women are having trouble with. There's a difference between empowerment and being emotionally detached, okay? And that is the downside. And with that is the whole empowerment, and like Sheila said, it's this whole, I have to be strong. I have to be this. I have to emulate a man. That is not true. And David, one of the points he brought up is from, during the whole dating thing, is that there are a lot of women who are emotionally detached. He said they are guarded, they are defensive.
Feel it on the relationship level, because you're always trying to match that energy, and it's just not enough space for that. I think men and women are supposed to be on the same team, so to speak, as you say, but we need that feminine energy to kind of to balance us out. That's not something that we can bring with to the degree that women inherently have. But to mask that, I think, is kind of like women just hide within their power, and they diffuse it or they mute it, whatever you want to call it, and they just live so deep into their masculinity, and they're just not able or not willing.
But with the whole thing, like you said, with the whole vulnerability, okay, let's go into that. Because here's the thing: in order for a woman to tap into her feminine, first, and I've done another stream on this, first they have to realize that there is power there. We cannot say it enough. Ladies, there is power. You have power within you. That is one thing that I am against with this whole female empowerment era, is that when we constantly are telling women, you need to be empowered, you need to be empowered, you need to be empowered, we're telling them that they don't have power. That how they came into this world as a woman, it makes them powerless, and then now they have to be given power. You do not have to be given power like that. You have it within you. You have to tap into it. And it is okay. It is an everyday process for a lot of us, especially like David said, depending on upbringings and all of that, or childhood trauma, or just life, whatever has happened that hurt. Oftentimes women are hurt, okay? We have been hurt, and there is something that is keeping us from tapping in, because all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, when I was exposed, when I was open, when I was vulnerable, I got hurt. So naturally, as a defense mechanism, we go into survivor mode, okay? During survival mode is when we put that armor on, all right? So a lot of these strong, empowered women are in survival mode. Who wants to live like that? I don't want to be a survivor. I want to be more than that. A survivor means just kind of barely well, I'm here. Nobody wants to be like that. So in order to tap into that femininity, you guys have to open up. You have to be vulnerable, and to be vulnerable with a man, or when it comes to dating, or really with just yourself, you have to do it with yourself first. That does not mean you do not have boundaries, okay? And I had this discussion on Instagram earlier this week, David. I don't know if you saw some of my posts, but I had people asking, well, what is the middle ground, okay? Because you do. Not everybody has good intentions, but when it comes to being vulnerable and being open, I use this example, okay? Your businesses, if you have a business, businesses are open, right? But they're still protected. You still protect them. Here at my house or at you all's homes, you have locks on your doors for a reason. You have locks on your windows. You may have an alarm system. You may have a camera system. One, because what is inside your home or your business that is of value to you, you want to protect it. And you don't just want anybody coming in and intruding. But there are times where your doors are unlocked. Your windows may be open. So it's the same thing with your heart when it comes to being open and vulnerable. Yes, you can be open, but you can still have boundaries, okay? That's all I'm saying. We all, I have an open mind, but I still just don't let anything just flow into my mind and sit there, okay? So it does not mean that you have to just be open, no boundaries, and that you're just welcoming anybody to come into your space and come into your heart and hurt you. That's not what it means. But in order to take stuff in and to give, you have to be open. I cannot have you guys, I can't have you guys over to my house, but I keep the doors locked. I can't invite you to come over for, a post-COVID party or barbecue and say, oh, come on in, but the door is locked. How do you can't do that. You cannot trap anything that you love inside a steel box and expect it to grow, expect it to flourish, expect it to feel and all that kind of stuff. So you've got to open up. So when it comes to women that you have dated that are, emotionally disconnected, or the ones who, okay, so I want to talk about women that are rigid and stoic, like the way that I talked about, just very masculine when it comes to the actual way that they carry themselves. Mm-hmm. How do you interact with that? Say you're on a date, or you guys are just chilling or whatever, but that whole kind of girl, you need to soften up. You know what I'm saying? How do you actually interact with that?
For me personally, there are traits of that I kind of like, within obviously a certain degree of rationale, because I myself, I actively research and practice stoicism. I read on it, all of the philosophers and everything. And I just saw someone posted a comment about how it's generally targeted at men and masculinity, which there's a lot of truth in there. But I'd agree there's nothing wrong with the female modeling that to a degree. Where I've kind of come across issues in relationships with that is when almost certain women that kind of operate in that, it's when you're interacting with them on a day-to-day basis, so more so on the relationship level as opposed to the dating level. So when you're just dating and getting to know someone, it initially could be oh, dang, this person is chill, this person is in control of their emotions. It can almost be for me personally, because of the type of woman that I like, it can almost be a welcoming thing. But where I see the rift usually is in the day-to-day relationship stuff, to where this person who is a very strong, independent woman, and those are the reasons that I was attracted to her, now I'm actively seeing her actionably behave on a day-to-day basis in a submissive way, to where they may be making you dinner or bringing you stuff like this, but their actions don't necessarily match their verbal output. So it's I'm strong, I'm independent, I'm this, but that inherent female power will generally come out to a degree, and so they're very uncomfortable with it. And so they realize oh dang, I gotta check myself, I'm doing too much, he's gonna hurt me, so I gotta make sure I close myself off again before I allow myself to be hurt, or I'm doing too much for him, I'm being too submissive. And it's almost that inter battle within themselves starts to show in relationships, because as they're battling with themselves internally, with their dynamic between how they see themselves and how they're acting and just living in their femininity, they start to push you away, or they start to challenge you to make it seem like you're at fault for certain things. And I see personally, for me, that's where I kind of notice the risk mostly.